Okay, so I'm just picking up exactly where I left off in the last video just to break it up and not have one massively long video running here. What I have here is the PPG that opened up when I created this point light. I'm going to close it because I don't need it for the moment. I'll get back to it in a few seconds here. What I want to do is take this light and I'm going to place it right here in front of this torch. Looks pretty good actually. And maybe I'll just move. I think right there's fine actually. I'm not going to get too picky about it. In terms of the scaling though, I do need to scale it down. So I'm going to scale it down to about half of its original size, something like that. Now let's open up its PPG and adjust some of the lighting here. And the light is actually going to affect the little torch effect that we have here. Okay? Alright, so let's change some of these parameters around. The intensity, I want to go ahead and increase that by a good amount. But first, let's turn on some light fall off here under the light attenuation parameters. Let's turn that on. And that, if we go ahead and create a render region here, we'll see that the light's really not affecting our scene much. So let's increase the value to something like 2. Now we can see it more. Let's increase it to something like 5. Now we can really start to see it, which is pretty good. But I want to go ahead and change the colors around as well. So let's go ahead and make this a nice cyan color or something, sort of to match up with our torch effect. So I'll increase this the red channel to about 0.5. I'll take the green channel and the blue channel and just leave those alone. They're perfectly fine. So now we have this sort of this cyan, this light bluish light right here, which looks pretty cool. Okay, I do want to turn the umbra all the way off and turn on shadows. Now we'll see how this looks. Looks much better now. Okay, now let's go ahead and close that PPG. Let's hit play, stop it, and let's do render region of this to see how the torch effect looks with the light. And we should see a pretty good difference. There we go. As you can see, the torch effect is using the light to go ahead and affect the actual particles themselves, which is great. Let me just make I'm just going to make a few adjustments here. Let's go back to the particle gradient shader, and I'm going to select the second color here. I want to go ahead and just drop down the red value, but just a little bit, maybe to something like 0.4 will work out pretty good. And the green value I'm also going to knock down to about 0.4. Something like this will work out just fine. Okay, just to make it a little bit darker there. Let me also go over here to the gradient position and see if there's anything I want to change there. And nope, that looks pretty good to me. So let's go ahead and close that. Let me also go into the second gradient here. Let's go to the color. And what I'm going to do is let's take this little marker here for the position and let's drop it. Let's drop it to about 0.3 is going to work out just fine. I guess 0.37 will be just good. And let's check this second color swatch here. And let's take this position over here and move it over to about 0.6. I think it's going to work out just fine. And that looks pretty good. Let me go over to the gradient position. Okay, this looks good. I'm not going to fiddle around with it too much. Let me just go ahead and do a render region here. See what we've got. Okay, that looks much better. I like that better, the way that it fades out at the tip right here. Okay, cool. Just go ahead and close that. Alright, so to make the shader look better for a final render, we want to go ahead and go to the particle volume cloud node and make sure that under the marching tab we have it set to the high settings. Once we do that, the quality will be improved. If we go over to the lookup table, make sure the cell size is set to something like 0.1. In this case, works great. You don't want the cell size to be too small, because if it is, then you're going to get slower renders, and you may not need that. So try to go with the largest number possible before ruining the quality of your particles. So in this case, a cell size of 0.1 and the marching settings of high is going to work out pretty good. And then when I increase my anti-aliasing settings, it'll look even better. Okay, fantastic. Let's close that. Okay, the shader is finished for this. The shader setup. So let me close that. And we have our little torch effect going here for our flamethrower, which looks really cool. Okay, so I'm going to end this video now, And in the next one, we're going to go ahead and we're going to work on creating the simulation for the particles that are going to emit from the barrel to create the flames of the flamethrower.